Hello. Hello,
Hello.
Pam. Hello, Erica.
Hello, hello. Hi, Anna.
Hello.
Hi, Pam.
Well, I guess we can start. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna from GreenGeeks, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Google's new AI update and how to take advantage of it, with our guest speaker, Pam Aungst Cronin, President of Pan Marketing. So welcome, Pam. We're so happy to have you here, and I'm going to introduce you in a minute. Real quick, I want to say a couple of words for those of you who are not familiar with Green Geeks and are watching this presentation. We're a 300% green energy web hosting provider, which essentially means we put back 3 times the power we consume into the grid in the form of renewable energy. We have been recognized by the US EPA since 2009 as a green power partner, and we offer share hosting, reseller hosting, VPS, and dedicated servers. So now a couple of housekeeping items for the webinar. If you have any questions that you come up with, if you could put them in the Q&A so Pam can be answering them at the end of her presentation. And you're always welcome to chat in the chat room. Just remember to select everyone if you want everyone to see what you're discussing. And also we're recording this, and a YouTube link will be sent to you with this recording after the webinar. And finally, we have enabled live transcription. So you have the ability to enable them by clicking on the show captions icon. And now that's all out of the way, I'm going to introduce GreenGeeks team who's here today with us, Erica, who will be assisting us with the chat and the Q&A. Welcome, Erica. Do you want to introduce yourself? Say hi.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. I am Erika Barbosa from Costa Rica. I work in the partners team, and today I'm going to be assisting the chat. And thank you for being here. And I hope enjoy the webinar today with Pam.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for your help, Erica. And then now I'm going to say a few words about Pam. Pam is the owner of Pam and Marketing, LLC, and Stealth Search and Analytics. She is well known for her expertise in SEO, PPC, analytics, and WordPress. Pam kicked off her own agency in 2011, and she's been rocking and rolling ever since, being featured in 4 books, tons of podcasts, and several major media outlets. She's also landed a spot in Surfstat Top 10 Women in SEO. Armed with a marketing MBA and nearly 2 decades in the industry, she's all about helping brands level up their online marketing strategies. So welcome, Pam. We're so happy to have you here. Would you like to say hi and start with the presentation?
Yes, hi. Thank you guys so much for having me on again. It was such a great webinar, the one we did last time, such great audience interaction. It was a great learning experience, so I'm excited to do it again. And
Thank
with
you.
that, I will share my screen. One moment here. Okay. Get this full. Sorry, gotta move chat window and Q&A window real quick. Okay, here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today and being here to listen to me nerd out about SEO and AI. I always describe myself as a major nerd and proud of it. So let's get into it. There's a lot packed in here today. So I'm just going to jump right in and tell you all about Google's new AI update and how I think it's an opportunity to be taken advantage of versus some others think that it's going to be bad for the SEO industry and for business owners' website traffic. So we'll get into that. I'll get on my soapbox and give you not only my opinion, but some actionable tips on how I really do believe you can take advantage of this. Okay, so let's get into it. We are going to first go over what are AI overviews. So that's the new AI update that came out probably about 8-ish weeks ago now, something like that, where, well, we'll get into what it is and we'll get into how they work, the potential impact on your traffic, either positive or negative, depending upon how you approach this, and the impact on your SEO strategy, what I feel you should do to take advantage of it. And we'll get into the specifics of that, how to optimize your content for this new AI update. All right, so let's start with, what are AI overviews? Some of you may have been maybe seeing this already, some may not. If you are logged into like a Google Workspace account, you may not see it, versus I see it a lot more on my personal Gmail, when I'm logged into Chrome on my personal Gmail, or I'm just not logged in at all. So what it is a ChatGPT type feature at the top of the Google search results that aims to give a very succinct answer to the user's queries. Now, I did a question. I figured I'll type in, what are AI overviews, if we're talking about what AI overviews are. And but it comes up for other queries as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be a question. And so you'll see this here, this little diamond dish shaped thing, and it will say AI overview. It will give you what it believes to be the most succinct answer, and it will give you sources down here where it believes, where it got its information from, that it believes are credible sources for the information that it gave you. Now, everybody's first reaction was, oh my gosh, this is going to kill search. And I definitely do not think it will. Google is saying that these get a higher click-through rate than the answer box, which we'll also get into the differences between answer box and AI overview. But anyway, this is what it is. It's basically Google aiming to integrate some type of ChatGPT functionality into its search engine. And I shouldn't say just Google, because Bing is doing it as well. They do their sources a little differently. They actually number them, so it's a little easier to see where the information comes from. But this is the way. This is the future of search. AI is in everything now, as you know. We can't get away from it. Actually, AI as a technology, as a machine learning technology, has been integrated into search engine algorithms for a really long time now. But this forward-facing like ability to interact with a what they call large language model, like be able to speak to an AI in the search engine, is brand new. Now, this differs from what we call the answer box, which is a type of featured snippet. So all SEO lingo, I'll try to explain here. Featured snippet is any type of thing that comes up at the top of search results that aims to either give an answer or just give some more structured information at the top. Recipes, for example, if you type in something about you want a recipe of a certain type, it will show you recipes with some structure as to how long it takes and the reviews for that recipe. So those are all called featured snippets. But the one you probably see the most is this, what we call the answer box. If you put in a query and it's a simple answer, it will just give you the answer. And so that's a type of featured snippet. So that differs from the AI overviews in a couple of ways. They both aim to do the same thing, but the AI overviews basically summarize several sources, whereas the answer box gives you one source. And this is not necessarily limited to 3, as you see in the screenshot here. It can like scroll, and there can be even more than 3. So how does this work technologically? The first 2 steps here are traditional search, right? Search engine. User enters a search. Search engine gathers results from the web, presents them to the user. But AI overviews take it 2 steps further. Not only does the search engine gather results from the web, it actually reads them and aims to understand the information. And then it uses an LLM, large language model, basically a chatbot, to write a summary in a human English, or whatever language, a human way, that will summarize the information for you and make some kind of conclusions or inferences, or just they being Google describe it as they aim to give you more comprehensive information in the AI overview so that you don't have to do subsequent searches. A lot of times you put in a query, you get a very simple answer. You're like, well, I want to know more. So then you got to put in another query that's more specific. And so they're aiming to give you more comprehensive information in the AI overview section. Now, like I said, they have, oops, I went the wrong way. Sorry, one moment. It's going backwards for some reason. Okay. All right, so sources are provided to, sorry, this is my first time using Canva for a presentation. I actually like it a lot so far, but I'm just getting used to it. So sources are provided to support the AI's answer, like I said. So this is where I think there's an opportunity to get traffic, and Google is saying that these get more click-through than those traditional answer boxes. And so this is where you can have an opportunity to get found if you do things in a specific way. So getting a little deeper into how this works, for my query, what are AI overviews? It gave me an answer. And so I went to the sources and I kind of picked apart where and how it got all that information. And you'll notice the wording is super similar, not exactly the same, but it says AI overviews is a Google search feature. And one of the sources, the yellow source here, it said Google AI overviews is a feature within Google search. So it just, the LLM, the chatbot, the language model slightly reworded that to create a summary. So it picks different pieces. I just circled so you can kind of see, like the green here, with more complex questions that might, you can see here, more complex questions that might. So sometimes it even takes the words exactly, but you can see how it blends the information into a more comprehensive answer with details from source A and source B. Now, you may notice source C was not used at all in the written AI overview summary, but it will sometimes select sources simply because they support the conclusion that this is already saying. They want to give a lot of citations, a lot of sources to back up what they're saying here. And so you still have an opportunity to get in here, to get up at the very, very top of Google, what we call position 0, because it's the featured snippets and the AI overviews are even higher than position 1, the first regular result. So there's still an opportunity to get in here, even if the AI doesn't decide to use your wording for its summary, but decides that you have information on that page that strongly and succinctly backs up what it's saying here. So, potential impact on website traffic. Like I said, I think this is an opportunity, but the immediate reaction of the industry was, oh my God, SEO is dead. SEO is dead. SEO is not even going to be a thing anymore. Search engines are dying, blah, blah, blah. And so some pieces of that may be somewhat partially true, but this has been the battle cry, or whatever you want to call it, of the hysteric response of big search engine changes back all the way since 2006. For example, those featured snippets, the answer box that I showed before with the Abraham Lincoln birthday, that came out in 2017, and people were like, SEO is dead. There's just going to give them the answer at the top, and then nobody's going to click on anything ever again. That was the hysteria then, and it's kind of exactly the same hysteria going on now. So will it change things? Yes. Will it kill search? Absolutely not. I mean, from this perspective, search has been dead for 18 years now, since the first time we started hearing this in 2006. So a couple of I could go on about this a long time, but I'm going to try to succinctly summarize my opinions on this. I don't think SEO will die because people will not stop searching for information. It's just, since the dawn of humanity, people want answers. They want information. They want to research things. The act of humans doing searches is not going to stop. And it may look different. It may be the searching for information may be performed in different places, ChatGPT, for example, as opposed to Google, but people will still search. And like I said, things will change. SEO may take on an entirely new look, maybe even be renamed AIO for AI optimization instead of search engine optimization. But the industry will survive. ChatGPT, OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, has said that they are going to be launching a search engine. So if the biggest innovator in the AI space now is working on launching a search engine, do you really think search engines are going to die? So that's some of my soapboxing on that. I will add to that Google won't let it die, because the format of people going to Google, searching, and being presented with a wide variety of information is what brings people to Google. But what Google does as a company for revenue is advertising. The ads at the top and in various other places are how Google makes money. It's in 2023, they made $175 billion with a B on the activity of people searching in their search engine. It's not going to be replaced, not at least anytime soon. And even if it is, it will be replaced by some type of, like, let's say the AI overview becomes the whole entirety of the page and there's not like the 10 blue links anymore. It's still people searching, and businesses are still going to be optimizing to get found in search, and Google is still going to be still going to want to be making money on it. And I'll add to that, in the short term, it's definitely not taking anything over. It's actually declining. The percentage of time that AI overviews show up is declining. It went to a new low of 7% of queries. Not that this has been around a long time, but it's consistently declining. And my conspiracy theory on why is that it keeps screwing up. It is telling people bad advice. Running with scissors if your cheese is sliding off of your pizza. Add 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. Taking a bath with a toaster is a fun way to unwind. You should drink at least 2 quarts of urine a day. People should eat at least 1 rock a day. I mean, so I don't have evidence of this. I have evidence that it's declining, but my theory on why it's declining is the more that they come under fire for this bad information, the more they kind of roll it back a bit, because it's still very experimental. So I don't think that with it showing up for 7% of searches that we need to, at least in the short term, that we need to drastically change any of our SEO strategies. That being said, I do think it's an opportunity for the 7% of time that it's showing up now. And once they get a grip, it's going to go, the other way. It's going to start showing up much more often. There are now at least 3, if not more. Sometimes I said there's more and you can scroll to get them, but that's kind of like page 2 of Google, like best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of Google. Nobody goes there. So I'm kind of discounting the ability to scroll beyond the 3, but there's at least 3 opportunities to get found in position 0 now, whereas there only used to be 1. So, and it's been proven that position 0 in the form of the answer box does drive a lot of traffic. So it's very beneficial to get there. Now there's 3 opportunities, and they're always changing. It will give, because it's an AI and it's dynamic and it's fluid, it will give a slightly different answer each time, and it will give different sources each time. Sometimes not entirely different sources. Maybe 2 of them will stay the same and the 3rd one will change, or 1 will stay the same. But it's mixing it up. So there's just a lot of opportunity. It's not like there's a fixed 3 sources for a certain search, and that's the only 3 opportunities to get there. There's a rolling, ever-changing amount of opportunities to get up here. And being up there does drive traffic. That's been proven with the answer box. And it's also been well, I won't say proven. It's also been claimed by a Google executive recently that these get even more click-through than the answer boxes. So how do you optimize to get there? Let's get into that. Now, with a disclaimer that this is, as I just said, very fluid, ever-changing. Google's experimenting with different tweaks with this and other things on a daily basis. So please, take all the rest of this presentation with the disclaimer that this is how I see it working today. I don't think this will drastically change in the near future. It may change a bit though. So the examples that I show and whatnot, please don't take that as like written in stone. But the concepts that I think people should be doing right now are these. First of all, research. We'll get into the specifics in a moment of the chat model that Google uses, which is called Gemini. So it's very similar to ChatGPT. So that thing that shows up at the top is actually a whole separate chatbot you can go to and use. It's called Gemini. So it's the kind of Google's equivalent of ChatGPT. So we'll get into how to do research in Gemini for how to optimize your content for AI. Then we'll talk about how to write the content in a way that the AI will like it and understand it and be more likely to pick it to be in the AI overviews. And then we'll just lightly touch upon measuring. There's not a lot of tools out there right now. So I mentioned the one FTC disclaimer, affiliate link, make a few pennies if you click on it, but I have to say that. So that's not why I'm recommending it. I mean, we've used SEMrush for years, and it's just an incredibly powerful tool. So SEMrush is one of the ones that have already put into their tool a way to measure if you are showing up in the AI overview positions. And that's just really important because scientific method, test, measure, rinse, repeat, do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Every strategy and every variation of every strategy needs to have a measurement. So your AI overview strategy should have a measurement component as well. But let's start with the research. So like I said, Gemini is a totally separate AI tool that it is integrated into Google search at the top for the AI overview functionality, but it's also a completely separate AI tool. So you can go to gemini.google.com/app and interact with Gemini the same exact way you can interact with ChatGPT. So I think this is useful for research on what Gemini will be likely to show in Google search results in AI overviews. If you go talk to Gemini itself and ask it a question. And then specifically after you ask it the question, I didn't show that part because it's just very similar to what you've already seen in ChatGPT. But at the bottom, there is this bar where you can give feedback, positive, negative, whatnot. But if you click on the Google icon where it says double check response, it will then actually go to Google and search and select sources, same as it does at the top of Google. And it will highlight which piece of information it got from which source. So if you click on the little caret thing, the arrow, it will expand that particular chunk and tell you where it got it from. And so you can go look at those sites. And when you click on it, it will highlight the piece that it used and just infer from looking at it, why did Gemini like this answer, and how did this site structure their content to give this information that appealed to Gemini. And so definitely just poke around. And like I said, it's very fluid, it's very experimental, it's changing all the time. So I can't tell you exactly what to look for or exactly what you're going to see. It's different for every query. So just put in like the terms you want to get found for and do some poking around. Now, if you see this, and hopefully you will on one of your queries, this red highlight is your golden opportunity to get found as a source, because it will sometimes state some general knowledge that it has learned from reading a lot of different content, but it will sometimes say, I didn't find a relevant source or a reliable source for this statement. I mean, I can't guarantee anything that if you put that statement on your website, it's immediately going to work. But this is the biggest takeaways from your Gemini research. So this is kind of the version of keyword research, SEO's version of keyword research. This is AIO, AI optimization's version of research for what words to put on your website. Look for these red highlighted sources where it says, I don't have anything good enough for this. That's your golden opportunity to be the one that is good enough to support that specific statement. So once you find your golden opportunity, how do you write for it? Again, disclaimer, this is always changing and it's very new. And these are just the observations that myself and some other SEOs have been able to make thus far. So first important point, though, is let's not get too caught up in the whole AI overview, new shiny thing. Like, yes, we should be experimenting with it and trying to use it as opportunity. However, you're not going to get selected as a source by Gemini, by the AI overviews, if you don't already have all your traditional SEO items buttoned up. You need to have a technically sound site with no errors, that loads fast, that has all the typical stuff that helps a search engine robot understand your content, XML sitemaps, robots.txt file, all the technical stuff. And you have to have all high quality content that meets the 4 E's, or I'm sorry, the 2 E's, the EEAT acronym that I've talked about in other webinars. I have some of that on my YouTube channel, and I believe GreenGeeks has some EEAT stuff we talked about on recorded webinars too. But anyway, in short, it used to be EAT, that Google came up with this acronym that it wants you to demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness in your content. And last year, it added another E in front. So now it's EEAT, and the new E is experience. It wants you to talk about your personal firsthand experience, because there's just a fire hose of generic AI written content being blown onto the internet every day. And the way that you're going to stand out is to talk about your personal firsthand experience, because no chatbot can write that for you. So all of this, your inbound links from other reputable sites, all of your traditional SEO needs to be buttoned up before you have a fighting chance of getting found in AI overviews. So that's number one. Now, to get into the specifics of what we've noticed thus far, we've seen that structure of your content is crucial. Using proper heading tag structure. This is like old school SEO, H1s, H2s, H3s, but it's like what's old is new again, because the content needs to be structured very well for the AI to understand it. So your only H1 on the page should be the title of the page that succinctly states what the page is about. And then your next subhead under that should be an H2. And you may have a variety of H2s, but then if you have subheads of your subheads, they should be H3s. That logical outline structure very much helps AIs understand content. So that is crucial. Now, after you get your subheadings, your headings and subheadings in order, you want to make every point extremely succinctly in the first sentence following the subheading. Then you can go into more detail. And this is another reason I think that search will never die, is there's always more detail that needs to be clarified, unless you're just optimizing for like, why is this, or like, what color is the sky? The next question is always going to be, well, why is it's blue? Why is it blue? So there's always more detail needed. Users are always going to seek that. Search engines are always going to reward that. However, what we've seen thus far is that preceding all your detail, all the getting in the nuts and bolts of things, have just one sentence at the very top of that section of your article. Think about optimizing in sections, because these are individual kind of questions or queries. So in any given section, extremely succinct subhead of what you're about to talk about, extremely succinct first sentence where you basically summarize, like an AI overview does, what you're about to say, then go into the more detail to support what you're saying. And when you're doing your research in Gemini, don't copy it word for word. That is obviously, it's not anything that Google has said like you can't do or shouldn't do, but I just think that's an obvious red flag. I think you need to put it into your own words. But so when you're doing your research in Gemini, getting ideas for what you should be talking about, definitely don't use it word for word, but make the same point in a way that Gemini would feel that you are supporting what it is saying, and provide data or evidence of some kind, if at all possible. I know this is not always possible, but if you're saying some kind of statement like a majority of small businesses in whatever state have this issue, if you can find sources, citations of your own, same way the AI overview gives its proof. If you can give your own proof and your own citations, you'll be more likely to be picked by the AI overview. And so that's what we've learned so far. It's loose, it's ever changing, but there seems to be those themes for sure. And so if you're writing content anyway, you might as well work with these tips, and then just keep an eye on the industry news to see what else changes in the near future. And third, like I said, third and final, very important, last but not least, piece of your AIO strategy is, like I said, measurement. This is a screenshot from SEMrush that shows if you are in an AI overview featured snippet for a given search term. There may be other tools already. There will be more tools coming out that will be able to do this, or this functionality will be added to even more tools. But just find what you can for now to measure, because unfortunately, Google has said, at least at this time, they are not giving us this data in Search Console. So usually I preach Search Console, Search Console, Search Console, go straight to the horse's mouth, find out exactly what Google thinks of your site in your Search Console account, and get a lot of good data in there. There's still a lot of good data in there, but they have said that at least at this time, they are not going to break it out like this and tell us when we have been found in an AI overview. So you have to go to a separate industry tool for that. That is it for my fire hose of information of what we know so far about AI overviews. And now we have time to go through everyone's questions.
Thank you, Pam. I don't see any question in the Q&A. I'm going through the chat to see if there's anything there. Someone was asking about the
raise their hands. So anyone who was raising their hand, I don't know that we have the ability to bring you on easily, but you can definitely type your question in the Q&A and we can get to it.
Yes, that's the ideal thing, is to type the question in the Q&A.
I lost my, oh, there we go. I got it back. I was about to say I can't see the chat, but I think I got it here. Oh, but now.
Okay, I see a question. A couple of people are who raised their hands, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to read them to you, okay? The questions?
Yes.
So Yoko says she's been using GPT since last November. I prefer ChatGPT over Bing, Microsoft, and Google so far. Also, my e-com shop, Shopify, added some AI stuff without much fanfare. All of these are not yet as good as ChatGPT in my experience so far. Do you see the AI overview matching quality?
I'm sorry, not sure I caught the end of that. Do I see
the AI overview matching quality?
Matching quality. Oh, I think using chat. I see it now. Using ChatGPT since last November. Prefer it over Bing, Microsoft, Google so far. I would agree with that. Shopify added some AI stuff. All these are not yet as good. Do you see the AI? Oh, okay. I think I understand. So the AI overview is coming from Google's Gemini, which is Google's version of ChatGPT, and a lot of people share the sentiment that it's not as good as ChatGPT. So do I think that the AI overview feature at the top of search will match it in the near future? In my opinion, probably not. That being said, different AIs seem to be better for different things. So there's another one that's not as popular, but it's called Claude. So it's just like ChatGPT and Gemini. I find that when I'm asking questions about coding, like computer programming, Claude is a lot better at that than Gemini. ChatGPT is pretty good at it too, but I feel like they have different strengths for different purposes. So broadly, I doubt that the AI overview functionality will become quite as good as ChatGPT in the near future. However, it's slightly different, so it's a little bit apples and oranges as far as the purpose of it. Oh, Carrie asked, Google Bard is gone. No, it's they renamed it Gemini. Bard was a horrific name to begin with.
Yeah, very true. So Andrea here is saying, I recall Google saying years ago that content is king. Are we actually finally seeing this now?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, they need us now more than ever. If what humans expect is something beyond the 10 blue links, give the list that they have to go through themselves, people are starting to expect more out of the search engine, out of the AI features that are being built in the search engine. So I certainly hope so, because yeah, there's still a lot of like crap sites that come up at the top of the list of 10 blue links for a lot of searches.
Yeah, Carrie is asking, how would you format citations in content? Just links within the text or separate at the bottom? That's a good question.
Good question. Yeah. So if you're writing your own answer, you want to give your own citations. It's tricky because you don't want to take people off of your site, but you want to back up what you're saying with a link. So I think that always set the link to open in a new tab so that if they do click on it, it opens in addition to your site and your site's still there. They don't wander off from your site fully. And then I like it when there's like a small, so not all the way at the bottom of the article, but again, I think we have to start thinking about optimizing content more in chunks and sections. So if it were me, I would put the citation links back to my data that's backing up what I'm saying, like small at the bottom of the section that it pertains to, not necessarily all the way down. Because I do think that Googlebot and other search engine bots are looking at things much more in a much more segmented manner now, not the entirety of the article. It's examining sections of the article, which again is why the headings and subheadings structure is very important.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to skip Carrie because you already answered that question, right? If Google Bard is gone.
I saw the Bard one, yes.
Yeah. Yoko is saying, I like the iterations when you can ask for second and third version. I guess it's just a statement rather than a question.
Second and third version of the answer, I think is what they're referring to, where you can ask it twice and you get a slightly different answer and slightly different sources. And then I really like interacting with Gemini directly and then hitting that little Google button at the bottom saying double check this answer and then going through all that. And then you can get multiple different iterations of that. So yeah, it's very interesting how everything's very fluid now. No more static SEO.
Yeah, thank you. We have a question here from Lucas. How the IA will work upon word tags that will be valuable for search like on SEO?
Work upon word tags.
Mhm.
I'm thinking that might be in reference to meta tags, like title tags and meta descriptions. They will be valuable for search like on SEO. Yeah, definitely. I think of it more like a Venn diagram, like traditional SEO and then AI SEO, and there's like intersecting things that are good for both. And I definitely think continuing to pay attention to doing your meta tags is important.
Still important, of course. Tamara is asking, what is the best way to find these searches that Google does not have an AI overview it is showing for your client? I haven't seen anything in SEM, I guess, Rush, that shows.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I talked about how to find when Google doesn't have a good source for a query that it has an AI overview for, but what if it doesn't have AI overview results for that specific query? Can you kind of prompt it to? That's a very good question. I would say act as if it's going to have it eventually, but it does seem like Google's doing AI overviews for certain types of queries right now and definitely not other types of queries right now. So it's definitely not a guarantee. Like their algorithm and their management needs to decide that they're going to start giving AI overviews for specific types of searches and specific topics and whatnot. So I don't think you can do anything to like be like, hey, Google, you don't have an AI overview for this yet. Here's my content. I can be it, put it out there. I don't think it's quite like that, but I do think that 7% of time that it's showing now is going to continue to rise. So you can kind of act as if and optimize for it anyway. And you could still ask Gemini. So even if there's not an AI overview at the top of Google, you can still get an AI overview type response out of Gemini directly with the sources and mimic those. And so someday when AI overviews start showing up for your query, you would have a good chance of being there.
Thank you. Kevin is saying, this just made me think that to please AI, we got to be less reliant on AI when producing content. Any thoughts on that?
To please AI, we have to be less reliant on AI. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's ironic point, but I believe that's true. Yeah. If you want AI to rely on you for giving high quality information, um, putting out bland information on your website that was just regurgitated by ChatGPT and the same similar type of regurgitation is on everyone else's site too. Yeah, that's not
It's
gonna
funny.
not gonna stand out to the AI, that's for sure. And also when people say like, oh, can I write my content with AI? Or I have an AI tool that will rewrite my AI written content so that AI won't find it. AI does nothing better than recognizing AI. So yes, exactly. You really do need to kind of steer away from AI and be more human in order to get the AI to like you. I actually did a webinar about that. It's recorded on my YouTube. What was it called? Something about ways that AI is making SEO more human.
That's
Exactly to your point.
the
And I
point.
see the quick clarification about the 10 blue links. It's just the traditional Google search before they had all this fancy stuff at the top and maps and it's just the 10 regular blue link results that you can click on and go to websites. It's kind of the old school format, but it's still there. It's just like buried under all this fancy stuff.
And Paul is asking, do you use AI for content creation or what? You?
No. So there's a lot of caveats to this. Google doesn't necessarily say that you can't, but it also says that it wants you to talk about your personal firsthand experience in your content in order to stand out from other AI bland written content. So no, um, I don't think you should write content with with SEO with AI. That being said, it's wonderful for content ideation, coming up with ideas, what you're going to write for, what points should I make in this article, and even some things like some subheads or meta descriptions. I don't even want to say subheads because subheads are becoming too important. I'll clarify to say, I think the one thing that's safe to write with AI is meta descriptions because they don't get taken into account in the ranking algorithm. They're just for display on the 10 blue links to make your site more likely to be clicked on. So I do meta descriptions with AI, but yeah, to the point we were making before, the more human you are, the more the AI is going to like you.
Great. I see a couple of people put a couple of questions in the chat. Since we have a little bit of time, hold on, there's another one here. Carrie, I tell my website clients about EEAT and their eyes glaze over like to write blog post. LOL. Yeah, EEAT.
Yep. Yeah, I know. This is tough. I mean, it's hard enough to just get high quality content produced and edited and up on your website and formatted and added pictures to it and tagging them image, I'll tag on the pictures. And now you got to worry about all this AI stuff and EAT stuff too. It is a lot. It is a lot. So, I mean, I'm kind of leaning lately towards that it's kind of okay to put out content maybe a little less often, but put a lot more work into each piece. And
Yeah.
not necessarily. I used to say that about just simply making the word count longer. And now it's not simply about just making it longer. But let's say you're doing 4 blog posts a month and they're coming out a little on the short side because you're rushing and there's not as much attention to the headings and the subheads and this new AI type stuff. Maybe you might consider for a while testing a strategy where you do 2 a month instead of 4 a month, but much more robust, much more high quality, much more tuned up for EEAT and AI.
Thank you. I see 2 more questions here in the Q&A. From Aviva, if Google wants you to talk from experience, is it necessary or better to talk in first person on your content?
Good question. I think it's an important component, and it doesn't necessarily need to be an individual though. So if you're writing for a company, especially very corporate brand, that type of feel, you're not going to be able to say but you can say like we at our company, our clients tend to see these results, whatever. And if it is your personal writing, then yes, first person, absolutely. I believe, I feel, I see, I have seen, definitely. But I don't think I don't think it's enough for the algorithm to just simply, like, let's say, rewrite what you already have, but in first person. Like, I think it's really looking for you to describe your experience, like in a real way, real robust way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Doug is saying, are there ways to get Google's AI to acknowledge or certify that someone's is an authority in a particular subject? In other words, to confirm the A in EEAT?
Absolutely. There's a lot of little things. There's not one like clear thing that's, do this and then you've checked off the A authority box. But both for the A and the T, there's a lot of little things you can do. One is make sure you have a strong social media presence, and make sure that on your blog article style content, you have a byline that says written by your name. If you do have a knowledge panel, work on that. If you don't, well, either way, schema markup, putting a schema markup on your website that says this is a person, this is their job title, this is where they went to school, this is the degree they got, this is the awards they've won. Schema is like extra code you can put behind the scenes to give structure. We call it structured data sometimes too. Give structure to your content. So it's just like putting kind of, in a sense, it doesn't necessarily have to be done this way, but in a sense, it's kind of like tagging each piece. So I have that like on my bio page on my website. It's like where it just looks like a regular bio to you, but in the background, it's tagged like first name, last name, title, college, degrees, awards. It's all tagged in a way that the bots can understand it. And also my byline on all my articles where it says by Pam Aungst Cronin, you click through, that clicks through to my bio. So a bot and AI can like see, oh, here's an article. All right, who wrote the article? Pam did. Who's Pam? What she's all about? Does she know what she's talking about? It will click on that and go consume the information on the bio, and especially with the markup that I added. All of that led to me having a knowledge panel. If you Google Pam Aungst Cronin, and a thing on the side comes up about me, and it categorizes me as an SEO professional. So it has learned that from all these little signals that I give it, but it's definitely not just one thing. Another thing in e-commerce, so I'm talking a lot about B2B right now, but just to throw a tip out for B2C, if you're e-commerce, like an online store, always have as many trust badges as you can. So like we are, certified PCI compliant. Here's our trust seal for that. Our SSL certificate is great. Here's our trust seal for that. Those little badges that you see. So that's a good one for online stores too, to send an A or a T signal for authoritativeness and trustworthiness.
That makes sense. Then we have a couple of questions still from Aviva. She would like you to clarify the comment about content being written in the first person. When you said we.
I think it's a worthy. So if my content's already written not in first person, do you recommend I change it to first person? Okay. So I think it's a worthy exercise. However, if you're going to put the time into switching the first person, I forget what that's called, the perspective, whatever, the way you're speaking, if you're going to put the time in to change that over to first person, I would say while you're in there, try to enhance and add more talk about your personal experience as well. Like, don't just flip it over to I and we. Just like beef it up while you're in there. If you're going to go through, it's a good exercise, but if you're going to go through it, like really go through it.
Yeah. And she says, to further clarify, is the recommendation the same for website versus blog?
For the first person stuff, that's tricky sometimes. I mean, you certainly like to use e-commerce again as an example. You're not going to write a product description in first person. It's just product description describing the product. However, you can maybe add a line that says like, our store has sold a lot of these or something, but it's no certain content. You got to take everything like compartmentalized or segmented. Certain content is not appropriate for first person, and certain, the website pages, static content. I just, for blog articles or any kind of like, if you wrote a white paper or something like that, a case study, that kind of content, definitely when Google's expecting you to talk about your expertise. But for example, on a product description, Google's algorithm isn't really expecting you to talk about your personal experience with every product on your online store, because that's not reasonable. Most people don't have personal experience with every product. So it's case by case basis.
That makes sense.
It depends is the answer to that. us SEOs always say that everybody just loves.
On the different case by case. Yoko is saying my Shopify has added meta fields to products. Any thoughts on this using AI, AIO? Meta fields to products.
Fields. If that's just, I think for a long time they've had, or I know for a long time they've had meta tags for products. I think what that might be referring to is the schema markup, the structured data that I talked about. And yes, absolutely. On e-commerce stores, structured data for products and reviews is super crucial. So you need that extra code that's saying this is the product name, this is the brand, this is the UPC code, this is the manufacturer SKU, this is the product description, these are the varieties it comes in, colors, sizes, whatever. This is the average review rating, and here are individual reviews, reviewer name, reviewer star rating, all of that super important for e-commerce. And yes, and if whatever CMS you're using for e-commerce, Shopify or whatever it may be, if they offer those fields, absolutely, definitely take advantage of it.
Great. Since we have a couple of more minutes, I'm going to read these two comments here from Michael. What impact of AI, Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT do you foresee on small shop using popular SEO tools like SEMrush and linkassistant.com?
Let me get that up so I can consume that fully. What impact of AI, Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT do you foresee on small shop using popular SAI tools? So the impact of the AI on the shop with the tools, I think it's referring to like your strategy of how those tools help you with your small shop. I'm sorry, if you can clarify a little further if I'm missing. Strategy. Yes, strategy. Okay. Yeah, so it was similar to what I was just talking about with Shopify adding those schema fields for products, and you should absolutely be taking advantage of it. It's similar in a sense with Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, and the information about AI's presence in search and your presence in AI in search that you get from the SEO tools. Absolutely, it should impact your strategy. Basically, and I mean, thus far, it's very new. So basically, like with the ways we talked about, just what we know so far, make sure you're doing that. And as the tools start and use the tools information, like SEMrush now already does tell you if you have an AI overview. So watch that carefully, see what works. It's like, oh, when I do this, I get an AI overview result. But when I do it like that, I haven't gotten success. So definitely test measure as per usual, but with focus on these new AI overview feature, this new AI overview feature, and any other AI features that wiggle their way into the search engine results over time, which I'm sure there will be more.
Thank you. And then I see one last comment, and then I think we have to go because we're out of time. Can we hear more on how reliable is the information and the provided summary from AI? This is the question from Kitsu.
I just want to put my contact information up there. If you think of a question later, you can always feel free to find me in any of these places. I've got my email here, website, my YouTube, and my TikTok. I have all the socials, but I do a lot of videos on YouTube and TikTok if you want to dig deeper into some things. So just wanted to put that back up real quick. Yes. So I'm sorry. So the question was, I lost. The
question was from Gitsu. Can we hear more on how reliable is the information and the provided summary from AI?
Oh, and how reliable it is. Well, we rewind a bit here.
Yeah.
I would take it with about 10,000 grains of salt.
A grain of salt.
But it's definitely, worthy of double, perhaps triple checking, especially if you get into some more scientific stuff or medical stuff. For financial advice, like I'm actually shocked that they are presenting AI overviews for what in the industry we call YMYL content, which stands for your money or your life. And so basically like medical, financial, any advice or content that can impact your money or your livelihood, your health. I'm actually shocked they've been display. I really thought they would start with what, like, any content other than that, anything not scientific, anything not crucial, that life or death decisions are made on. I'm actually shocked they've been showing it, but they are pulling back on that too. So yeah, so as far as how reliable, they are not super reliable right now. AIs also tend to do something called hallucinations, where it thinks it knows something, and then based on what it thinks it knows, it sees something else, and it puts two and two together when two and two should not be put together. For example, they put an eighth of a cup of non-toxic glue on in your pizza sauce so that your cheese doesn't slide. It will hallucinate and think that things are real and tell you they're real when they're not real. So no, in short, not super reliable right now. But Google's goal is all of their goals, Google, Bing, all that, their goal is to make it better and better and better over time, make it reliable. And so if your content can help it become more reliable, you're going to win.
Makes sense. Okay, well, we're almost on top of the hour. I will let everybody go. I want to say thank you to everyone for the interesting questions. And
yeah, those were great.
Yeah, very great question. And to check out our future webinars on greengeeks.com/webinars. That's where we list our webinars. And then I want to thank you, Erica, for all your help in this. And thank you, Pam, of course. Always great to have you. Always great information and presentation. And
thank you so much for having me. Yeah. It's an honor to be on a GreenGeeks webinar. You guys have great webinars. So
thank you.
Everybody keep up with these webinars.
Thank you, Anna. And thank you, Pam, too.
And we will see everyone hopefully next month at the next webinar.
Definitely.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.